Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sands of Time, the End of Life Journey and Beyond. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I'm a bereavement specialist, and it is so good to see you again. Susan, hope you're doing well.
So good to see you, Lisa. Yes, I'm doing very well. And today's topic is a little, hmm, I don't know the word. We'll figure that out as we move along.
We will.
But it's a very needed subject to talk about. So, as our loved ones approach the end of their lives, emotions, as you know, Lisa, can run really high. And relationships can become strained, whether they were strained beforehand or not, they can become strained at the end. And it's not uncommon for our loved ones to experience anger, bitterness, and especially anxiety during this time. So it's important to acknowledge that these emotions are natural and they're not really directed at you personally. And as educators, Lisa and I, we're educators that like to talk about celebrating life and leaving this world in a loving and warm way. But today, Lisa and I would like to explore how difficult it can be in dealing with some of these challenging relationships at the end of life and understanding the limits of communication. And I don't mean verbal, and I mean when you can still speak, right, at the end of life. I've been with clients who speak up until the last day that they cross over. So how do we provide support during such a challenging time? So, when we have to think about that when a person's wishes are not expressed at the end of their life, the I love yous aren't said to one another, the acceptance regarding that the end of life is near and it's important to come full circle, it leaves an experience for you that feels even more challenged while it's occurring. And it has a way of extending our grief afterwards with feelings of guilt and remorse, lots of different feelings. So if your person's leaving the world and they cannot find a certain amount of peace during this time, we have to remember that it is their journey, right? And it is their choice. And maybe it's not a choice. Maybe they don't know how to find that peace and get rid of that anxiety, but it is their choice and their journey. So Lisa, let's talk about a little bit about understanding and being able to support a person that you love during this most overwhelming time in their lives in the best way that we possibly can.
I want to talk about our own feelings. I'm going to turn this a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Because there are relationships that, as you said, are very complicated. And it's very difficult to just forget years and years of mental, emotional, other
Sure.
abuse that is not positive. And now you're faced with your family member or whoever it is at the end. And you might dream of reconciling, or you might dream of being told something that you've not been told before. And I'm going to give you examples because I think it's important that we relate this to what we understand. So, my grandmother was my biological mother's mother.
Lisa, let me just say that as human beings, we all want that love and
Yes,
connection.
yes, we do.
Even up until the very last minute, we want
Yes, we do.
something to turn around and we want to have that closure and acceptance so they
Yes,
can
we do.
move on and so that we can move on.
Yes, you're
And it
absolutely
doesn't
right.
always happen that way.
That's right. Well said. Well
I'm
said.
sorry to interrupt you.
No, 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 but you're right. My grandmother lost, her daughter, who was my biological mother, when she was only 26. That was an only child, and I'm an only child. So this role for me was overbearing, to be, this daughter that they lost, and to be a granddaughter, and the responsibilities my entire life. Huge weight on my shoulders. Always feeling like I was never enough, never good enough, never done enough, whatever. And towards the end, I still wanted her to tell me she was proud of me, and I still wanted her to tell me that she loved me. And to be honest with you, she wasn't capable of doing that at all. And I was her legal guardian, so I made decisions about her life, and I did everything right because I felt obligated and responsible for this person. Um, but it was very difficult and very painful at times to deal with her and her outrage. And she was certainly not different than she had ever been, maybe a little worse, but she was still who she was. Um, but I have to say that I still had to live with myself. So I felt that I had to do what I was supposed to do, which was take care of her, which was to make sure she was in a safe place and she was cared for, etc. And I could have lived with myself if I didn't do all that. But I just want to tell you how incredibly relieved I was that she was gone and that I didn't have this weight on my shoulders anymore. And that she was never capable of really loving me. She was not capable of loving many people anyway, other than herself. And I think we have to come to terms sometimes with accepting who somebody is and the relationships we have. And even at the end, when we wish and hope that it might be different, sometimes it isn't. And so that's a story that some people may, resonate with and may identify with. It's still sad to me that I had a grandmother who didn't love me. I was a really good granddaughter, and it took a lot out of my life to do everything for her that I did. So in the
You know,
end, it's
Lisa, thank you for sharing that. I can see how hard that is.
oh
And
yeah,
and as a grown adult woman right now, after having lived so many years of your own life, to see that that pain is still there.
yeah,
But this is the way life works. This
right.
is what happens. We're all human beings, and we're meant here, I believe, to come here and to learn and to go through these things and to be educated before we go back home ourselves. This is what I believe. Not everybody does, but and and when we try our hardest, so like you said, no matter what you could do. So I say it's important to try and have these open and honest conversations, right? Before the end time, earlier versus later. But unfortunately, like you're saying here, even though we want that closure at the end of life, no matter how hard we try and navigate it the right way, it doesn't always happen. And this is okay, but know this. Know
That's
this.
right. That's right. And in fact, my friend is going through this right now with her father. And she has explained that the relationship has never been good with her father. Her father is 97. So, and my grandmother was 94. You're talking about long lives. But
Hmm.
she wishes that he would turn around and say something pleasant to her. And he's probably not capable either. And when I shared my situation with my grandmother, she felt so relieved because she thought that maybe she was doing something wrong or she had to do something different or whatever. And the truth was, as you said, that some people are never going to be able to give you what you feel you need or want at the end. And you have to accept that and come to terms with it. And it is sad. And that's why, I mean, my grandmother's been gone since I was 47. You're talking about a lot of years. And still, I'm mourn the fact that I didn't have a grandmother who loved me the way I should have been loved. So,
And
and
it
she,
stays with you. These things stay with us for the
they
rest
do,
of our lives,
they do, they do.
but also know that so many people leave the world with unresolved issues, with unexpressed love, unanswered questions. Not only they leave the world like that, but for you, you're left here for the next 47 years to go through these unanswered questions. And why me? Why did it have to be that way? And it's very important that this happens in life. So know this, recognize that it was their journey. Okay. It's not your job to feel guilty or angry about their choices. Find some acceptance. Okay. And approach the situation that you're going through with them with empathy and compassion.
And that is
And
very challenging
so
when you
challenging.
when when you feel like, eh, they didn't give you what you deserved. And in the
My
end, you have to, you know what, Sue? in the end, you have to look at your life and you have to look at what you've done and you have to say, look, I did everything that I
That's
could
right.
do. Yeah, I couldn't change her. I couldn't make her into somebody else who was loving and all. And I have to share with you, her brother and her sister told me, do not tell me when she dies. I don't want to have anything to do with her. So obviously, this wasn't about me. And so you try and look at the bigger picture and understand, as you said, they're who they are, the kind of people who they are, the kind of life that they live. It's not
Right.
always about you and what happens to you. So, and you can't
But in the
control.
end, though, but in the end, it really is all about, it is about you. I have one of my sister-in-laws just went through this with her own mom. And there a lot of family dynamics changed over the last year. She was written out of the will, and I mean,
Mm,
all these horrible things happen that you can think of happening that we're not getting into in this video. But still, no matter what, she had to go through the flow of being the good daughter that she always was. Because in her heart and being and soul, that is the person that she always was and still is.
yes,
And we had a deep conversation about it one day. And I said, I don't know if I could handle and go through everything you're going through, being as nice as you are right now. And you know what? She said to me, because this part of it is about me. I have to go on and live my life. And I want to know that I loved and I gave and I cared and I did everything that God wants me to do. And I'll be able to live with myself thereafter.
yes, yes,
And I was
yes,
so proud of her. And I've thought about this a lot over the last year. And even in different things that I do in my own life, and I think of that scenario and that situation, that
yes,
wow, she did have to step up, and it was hard and it was difficult because she was there till, with her mom's last breath.
yes,
And
yes,
I couldn't believe she'd even be there in the room with her siblings and go through this. But she
yes,
did, and she explained to me that she did it for herself,
yes,
knowing that tomorrow she will wake up and know that she did everything that she should have, could
yes,
have, would have,
yes,
and had no
yes,
regret.
yes. That is exactly how I felt too. That's true. And I was going to be written out of the will and all kinds of other threatening things and stuff. But in the end, yes, you have to be the good person and you have to step up and, I mean, and you have to live with yourself because in the end, it's going to be your life.
Lisa, let's talk about a few ways that you can connect
Yes,
and communicate with somebody when there are some unresolved issues.
yes,
There has to be some alternative ways, so we've come up with a few today. And like I said just now, it's still creating that calm environment, I think. Still
yes,
creating the calm and peaceful atmosphere that can promote maybe some communication. Maybe there won't be again, but I think the more comfortable and peaceful and soothing environment when you're with your loved one during this time, I think that can bring more comfort
yes,
and calm into the situation than otherwise.
yes, yes. For me, I love bringing up memories. They make people smile. You talk about the things that they did or talk about experiences, shared experiences. And I know that, the person who I'm visiting who's 96, she is angry and she doesn't want to leave, but she does want to leave and she's really had it. But as I talk about, my parents, because they were best friends, and I talk about the things they did together, and I talk about the trip she took, and those things just bring smiles to her. And it makes her just calm, and it's a nice shared thing for us to talk about and be
And I
together
think
with.
that's important, Lisa, even when the conversation is limited, even when there isn't a lot of talking,
Yes,
during the last weeks. Offer your ear, hold their hand, just sit quietly with them because no matter what kind of dysfunction or toxic relationship that may have occurred through the years, you you can still provide a reassurance and a comfort. I
Yeah.
don't think I'm you know, I don't think I'm toxic and dysfunctional, but I think about the end of life because this is what we do. This is part of who we are, Lisa. And I think should the day come, what's the biggest fear? What's the biggest thought? And I'm speaking from a healthy younger
Yes.
woman right now.
Yes.
Um, and to me, it would be that I'd want to know somebody was there
Me too.
around me, just holding my hand, even if it's physically or non-physically, but knowing that they have my back, knowing that I'm in this with you and you'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just that, just to know that level of comfort. That's what I think about. Not being so afraid and so alone, even if I can't speak,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
somebody to create that around me.
Yes.
I don't know
Touch.
why I think of that, but
No, touch is really, really important. People don't understand how important it is to hold
some
somebody's
people don't
hand.
like touch, though.
True. True.
Some people never have light touch.
True.
Some people wince when you go to kiss them on the cheek,
True.
right? So it really depends on the type of person they were. That might not come into play at the end. But just even words like, something, we were never really friends all these years, but guess what? I'm here for you now. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And if you want me to leave, well, then you'll have to say so and invite somebody else. But I'm here for you and I have you. And
Yes.
I think that's important at the end of life.
Nice. Nice. I love showing pictures. I love when she looks at the movies of my mom and the party that I made, and she was there with her husband and all, and the friends. It just, she can see it a million times. And it's new every single time I open up that movie, that video.
Yeah.
She loves it. Loves it.
When we talk about communication, Lisa, it's not just, it can be nonverbal communication as well. So if it's during that time, like you said, a gentle touch, eye contact. Eye contact is especially important because most times we believe that they can hear you and hear everything you're saying. And you know that to be true, Lisa, even
I
when you're
do.
just showing pictures and you're
Yes.
speaking. But because the nonverbal gestures, they can express emotions,
They can.
in them and in you.
Yes.
So it's the words can become challenging at the end, but they don't have to be. It can be in a nonverbal way
Yeah.
that you communicate as well.
It's also important to ask them if they can, what would you like to eat or what would you like, and if they can express it, she could just have chocolate ice cream and be really happy. And she knows I'm coming for breakfast. And I said to her, okay, what should we have for breakfast? Now she's barely eating, but she said, could you make me pancakes? I said, of course I can. And she may not even eat them, but the fact that I did them and I bring them to her means the world that
Right,
somebody did something like that for her, you know?
right,
And by the way, even if she can't express it, you have to know in your own heart that you've done the things that are special for her. You
right.
sometimes you really have to see this is sort of a one-way street here, folks. It really is. You may not get anything back at all. You
That's
may not
right.
even get a smile. You might not get anything. But you have to understand that this stage is so overwhelming and so frightening and so scary and so many feelings that your feelings are secondary compared to what they're going through in their own lives and deaths. And
Right.
that's true. I may not ever hear anything more from her, but I know how much I mean to her, and she knows how much I mean to her. What I mean to her, and she means to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's important also, I just want to throw in here, not to be afraid. I mention this all the time. Death and dying is the second leading fear globally.
Yes,
with every other person in the world. We're so afraid. So what happens sometimes, especially in hospital rooms, you see other family members or friends or extended family members that gather, and what do you see? You see fear. You see them standing in the corner of the
yes,
room and not
yes.
knowing what to say. Get rid of that.
Yeah,
Get rid of that, because I'm sorry to say it bluntly and plainly. Lisa and I say this all the time. We're only here for a short time.
yes.
If you're lucky enough to be here 100 years, which is nothing, Lisa and I are more than halfway done with our lives.
We are.
More than halfway done. We have to be thankful and appreciative for everything. But if you know and understand that we're put here for a short amount of time,
Yeah,
okay, then accept end of life.
that's
Like we
right.
welcome babies coming into the world, welcome and embrace end of life and be there with love and empathy and caring and gracefulness to help a person start their journey you know, on their path,
Yes,
crossing over this bridge. Sorry to
yes,
use the metaphors,
yes.
but it's just, if more people accepted that and realized it and know it in your heart, then it would be a more loving and peaceful experience versus anxiety filled
Yes,
and angry and upset and turn around and punch the wall and not speak to anybody for months afterwards.
yeah,
We need more acceptance
we
about the
do.
end of life.
We do. We do. And we
No,
talked about a video where we compared other countries, and our country is just so unaccepting of something that's natural that happens in everybody's lives. As Stu says, my partner, nobody gets out of this alive. That's what he says. And it's so,
I was very blessed. I had a very, very, very close friend of mine, and we've been friends for 5 years, and she passed away in March. So I got to spend the last 7 weeks with her in the hospital. But more importantly, over this time and since March now, yes, I feel the pain. I am human, but I'm just so thankful and appreciative for the time that I got to be with her. I'm so thankful for that. I think of all the things we did all the time and some things that I would have never done if it wasn't for her in my life forcing me to do things here and there. And I'm grateful for that. And I love that. And I do see little signs. I happen to see her particular car, the same color all the time. And usually it's at a red light and she's parked in front of me. So little things are always bringing a smile to my face
yes,
in appreciating that relationship.
yes, yes,
I could have also stayed in bed through the summer for a few months and cried, woe is me. But this was her journey. For some reason, God knew when she was coming in and that she was leaving relatively early and that this was her story. And I know that. So it's affected me better, I think a little bit better, and it's helped me to grieve a little better by
yes,
by feeling these things, right?
yes, yes. And that,
And the
and
same
when we,
with you and your friend, the same with you and Irma. You're going through this right now,
sure,
with your friend.
yeah,
And it's got to be grieving in a way now, knowing that her time is nearing the end. But all you do, what do? You think about the great things,
that's right.
right? You're
That's right.
thinking about all the good things you've done for her and that she's done for you and how it's made your life better
That's right.
along your journey.
That's right. You know how many years we've known each other? Since high
Mhm.
school. Our, my parents were her best friends, and my mom's been gone since 2000. So I have been the daughter she never had. She has two sons. And I've done things that, have been just girl to girl. I mean, we
And on
talk,
purpose.
and
That's
on
what I
purpose.
love.
Yes,
That's what I
yes.
love. And I thank you for sharing this with us now, on your journey, because it is difficult.
You
Again,
know
you're a
what?
human being, but
Yes. But yeah, and as much as I will miss my Fridays with her, it's like Tuesdays with Maury and Fridays with Irma. Um, I know she's done. She's really had enough. She says to me, why am I living? This is, this is not living. And I get it. And for her
Yeah,
sake, I want her to be gone from this earth. She has no enjoyment anymore on this earth, really, of her own life. I can bring a few, maybe hours of something and
yeah.
all, and her sons and all, but she's just not living, really. And we kid around, by the way. We kid around about seeing my parents up in wherever and her husband, and we talk about maybe they were all playing games and maybe they're singing songs like they did when they were younger, and then my father was playing the piano. Gosh, I hope that's true. I really do.
You know, it's, and you're getting teary-eyed, and that's
I
okay.
am. I
That's
am. Yep.
okay, though. You
Yep.
need to,
Yep.
right? Because
Yep.
it's an appreciation and thanks, I think, and gratefulness
It is.
as well as the
It is.
sadness.
It
It's
is.
part of it. And we need to feel all those emotions
That's right.
as we go through.
That's
So,
right.
as much as we're talking about Lisa right now with a wonderful end of life experience with somebody that they so loved each other, again, it could
Hmm.
be exactly the opposite. It could be dealing with somebody that you've had a difficult relationship with your entire life.
And that's my
And
grandmother's experience. And that,
right,
is common for people, with their parents or with maybe siblings or something. And, it's really hard to get around, but you don't want to just start living with regrets at the
yeah.
end. And you want to figure out how you can come to terms in whatever way you
And
can.
you have to,
You have to.
because, as challenging as this all is, it's important to understand and remember that that the anger or bitterness might be exasperated at this point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe they can't come to peace or can't come to terms, and maybe you can't either. Maybe
Right.
you can't forgive yet at this point for the horrible 30 years that you just had with this person. Okay. But maybe it's time for you too. You know, they're coming to terms with their story. It's unfolding the way it should, and they'll go on to their second chapter right now. But maybe it's time for you to maybe find some forgiveness. Find some forgiveness and understand that
See, I
help me.
think that you also have to know that it's not about you. It's not your fault. And we always think it's our fault. If we were different, if we tried differently. I mean, I went through that for many years with my grandmother and then found out, hey, this is who she is, the kind of person she is. She's not well liked by people. She
And that's
isolates.
acceptance
That's
on
right.
your part.
That's
That's
right.
acceptance and understanding on your part.
Correct. 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 Yeah. And you have to be able to see that, or you're going to spend the rest of your life, regretting and saying, if only I had and I should have done. And nobody wants to live like that. You have to understand and see who the person is. This
Yeah.
is who she was. I wasn't ever going to change her. I'm going
You
to
know,
change me.
everybody's that's right. And you do have to worry about your own journey. And
That's
everybody's story is different and unique and unfolds in different ways. And it's their path and their journey to be able to come through this life, with the things that they've done. And that's okay. But you need to do the same. You really need to do the same in order for you to still be happy and for you to feel peace and less anxiety and know that it was their journey and their story. I'll never forget something that helped me a lot just about life in general. And I was really in my early 20s when this happened. I would say 2022. And I was with a girlfriend and we were out at a bar. And I can't even tell you the example of what happened with the person that was there, but I was so angry at this person and I didn't like them and I just had bitter things to say about them. And we went out to the car to leave and she didn't start the car. And she says to me, "Let me just tell you something about life." Now, she was my age. She was a year or two older than me. She was an old soul here. And she said to me, she says, "Every single person on this earth, we're all different. Everybody's different. Nobody's the same. And the sooner that you can accept them for who they are and know that this is their body, this is their mind, and accept them for their journey, the easier it will be for you to accept them.
That's true.
And it just, the way she worded it was so special because I always thought about it in the back of my mind, and I still do, that we are all different and you have to accept people just for the way they are, do your best to make you feel good, and hopefully in this end time it will bring you a little bit more peace
Yes.
by your actions, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I
Difficult.
think our stories, I mean, I hope they helped a little bit,
I
as
think
difficult as
people,
this time
that's
is.
right. I think people hearing this will feel like they're not alone in how they're feeling and the complex reactions that they feel at this time. I really want them to go. I really don't want them to go. And, there's so many
And there
feelings
are
that you
tons, and that's why it's important for us to talk about it. Over the years, I remember my husband used to say to me, life is not all rainbows and unicorns and magic. He would say that to me, and I'd say, yes, it is.
have.
Yes, it is. I like to live in that world of
Me too.
positivity. And
That's me
and
too.
he'd say to me, no, no, there's negative, there's horrible things happening out there in the world. And that's how he would talk. But you know what? It can be for you. I don't care. I still live by that. I
Me
still
too.
live by the
My
positive.
rose, listen, I've got rose-colored glasses. I've had them for
That's what he
years.
would say. Yes, that was the phrase he used.
Uh-huh.
The last pair of glasses I tried to get, I wanted rose-colored glasses, and they wouldn't put them in my frames because
Oh,
I wanted to show him that I can see through rose-colored glasses. Because you know what? We can see anything we want to see.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
your mind and your life, and you have to do what's right for you in order to feel good. And it may have not been in that relationship, it may not have been in their personality. Don't be silly in thinking that it's going to change now at the end of
that's
life.
right.
If you're
That's right.
lucky, it might. If
Mm,
you're
if
lucky,
you're
then that
lucky.
person will have come to an aha moment and want to, and want the forgiveness and want the open communication and the honest conversations. If you're lucky enough.
Mm,
But the topic we're talking about today is not everybody does.
that's right.
So don't feel guilty and don't feel bad. This was their story.
That's right. That's right.
And let your story be your story,
That's right. That's right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you
Great.
today. Thank you,
Thank you.
Lisa, for
Thank
talking
you.
about some really hard conversations. We need to have these conversations
Yep. Yep.
because the world isn't filled with butterflies and rainbows, right? It's
Yes.
not. It's filled with horrible people and toxic relationships and dysfunction. I think every other family I hear is dysfunctional. I don't know of many families that are like the Waltons anymore,
I know. I know.
if
And
you
I
know
always
who
thought
they are,
families all loved each other and all. And then I got
you
some
know?
revelations. Yeah.
Families have become more estranged, though, I think, in my lifetime,
Yeah.
watching it over the years. Children go away to college and decide to stay. No more Sunday dinners.
Right.
A
Right.
lot more people are on their own. A lot more people are lonely.
Yes. Yes.
And there's a lot of depression that can come from, start with maybe a spouse dying, and then loneliness sets in and sadness, and then maybe bitterness. And then as you age, and if you're not being as social as we all should be, sometimes that it can get worse with a
Yes.
person,
Yes.
right? So I see seniors. I love seeing older people that are happy-go-lucky and have something nice to say about everybody and are cheerful,
Mm,
right? We all know a couple of those. And then we see older people that are just like we just talked about, not happy, don't like their lives, and could care less if they were here or not.
yeah.
So if that was your person, it doesn't mean they're going to change because it's the end of life. It
That's
was their
right.
story. It
That's
was
right.
their story, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, Lisa. I think
Okay.
we bothered people enough today.
I think we did too.
Hope we
Oh,
helped. Hopefully, helped a little.
yes. And
That's good.
again, your feedback on the YouTube, channel is always helpful. And sometimes when we post, we see, postings and sharing, which is great. We
It's
appreciate
like
that.
and follow. So this way, if there's a particular topic and you have a friend or a cousin or a relative that's going through something like the topic or the title of our video, you can share with them. And maybe it can help them in some way. Lisa and I don't do this for any monetary reasons. We're doing
Yeah.
this because we're both giving and from the kindness of our hearts that we want to share our life experiences. And we've both had a lot of them. And that's why
Mhm.
we share with you.
We have, and
Okay?
we're up to 100 videos. So there's a
Yes.
lot to choose from. When you look through it, find the topic that really resonates with you.
Thank you for joining us today, and we'll
Thank
see
you.
you next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.